Hey, Teresa.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Chairman. How are you?
Good. And Pat Hallisey
Yes.
muted, didn't he?
He,
That's me. There I am.
there you are. We can hear you now.
Great. How you two?
We're doing well. So it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Carl. I've been reading about you.
Oh, you have?
I've been reading about your city. I'll put it that way.
Okay. It's been some interesting stuff, huh?
Well, we'll get together and chit chat here sometime soon.
Yeah, that sounds good.
A lot more to the story.
Yeah.
Teresa, how are you?
Doing great. I'm doing really great. I've been spending time outside of the city for a little bit, but I'm back in the city now and keeping BayTran moving. So
Good.
yeah, we have about 10 people on the line participating right now. We're still waiting for quite a few more, so we'll give it a couple minutes.
Okay, no problem.
So, Pat, I think you're drawing the biggest crowd we have for our webinars. So congratulations.
Well, thanks.
Guy.
There must not have been anything else going on this afternoon. And I got Janice sitting over here.
Hey, Janice, are you there?
I am. How are you?
Hey, doing well.
Get in the picture. I've been out doing yard work.
Okay, well, I was hoping you would get in and say hi, but that's okay.
Not this time.
Well, we got a lot. I have a lot to talk about, and I was on the phone with John when you called. I just want to get updated on a few little items, but man, we got more going on. I'll get into that when we get there. But we have a bunch going on, and you know, hopefully it'll all be positive, not just for us, the county and BayTran.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you when we get farther. Is everybody else listening in?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Then I won't use any expletives deleted. I don't know any of them anyway. I'll leave those to Carl.
Hey.
We appreciate that. It could get exciting, you know.
Yes, I know. I know. Well, somebody asked me, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm following Paul Horn. You know, I can't think of a nicer guy to follow.
Yeah, really.
Carl. I tell you, go ahead, Teresa.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mayor.
I met with about 12 or 13 high school juniors or seniors Saturday, as they were also involved in scouting. And I tell you what, it was refreshing. I didn't get hammered about all the things that, you know, probably parents are more concerned about, but they were so thoughtful, and their questions were so well thought out, and they dealt with everything with, you know, how do you feel about the pandemic? What are you doing about the pandemic? What would you do if you weren't the mayor? You know, what's an obligation and what's a right? And I mean, they were a neat bunch of young people, and they were all female, every one of them. There was a troop of scouts that's made up predominantly of females, and they're all in high school and just getting out. And I was on with an attorney from NASA and a project manager over there, and they were great too. It was a fun deal to do on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, that sounds great, and those are pretty interesting questions. What would you do if you weren't mayor?
Well, I'd probably be pulling my hair out. You know, I'd be looking for some public service. I'd still be looking for a job at my age. You know, it's a tough deal. Janice told me when I retired that I couldn't sit at home, and I didn't really understand what that meant at the time. But she, of course, is much smarter and perceptive than I. So I found,
brother, I must be sitting here.
Yeah, she must be sitting here. Few kudos never hurt here and there, you know.
Never.
But anyway,
Well, go ahead, Mayor.
It's an interesting time for all of us. I mean, there is no roadmap of how to do this. And, I'll certainly talk a little bit today about some of the mistakes that, well, I don't think there were mistakes, but I think others did. I just sort of the kind of person, when something's wrong, I start looking for how to fix it. And my way of fixing it's not always the way everybody wants to fix it. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, it is. And Teresa, you want to get us started? It's 2:00. So
Yes. Let's go ahead and get started. For everyone who's come back this week, thank you for joining us again. I'm Teresa Rodriguez. I'm the president of BayTran, and I'm joined by our chairman, Carl Joyner. And today's guest is Mayor Pat Hallisey with the City of League City. BayTran, if you don't know, has been around for 30 years, advocating for mobility and infrastructure improvements in Harris, Galveston, Brazoria counties. And one thing that we've wanted to achieve through these discussions as we reach out to the leaders around our region is what commonalities we have from city to city, from county to county. What are the unique needs of each city moving forward as we recover? Carl, do you want to have a couple of remarks or want to say anything?
yeah, number one, I'm excited to have Mayor Hallisey with us today, and I enjoy when I used to be mayor telling Pat that Kima was a gateway to Lake City, but anyway, Lake City is a big part of our community, and we're proud to have them part of BayTran as we work together. And I know the mayor's going to tell us a little bit about Lake City, but also kind of comment today on transportation needs for Lake City, and if you agree with our top 3 items for the infrastructure package, if it were to be passed by the federal government, of the widening of the ship channel, the coastal spine, and completion of the Grand Parkway. So anyway, Mayor, thanks again for taking time. And I know you've got your wife, Janet, sitting over there to make sure you do a good job and keep you on time. So we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I'm really happy to be with all of you here today. These are extraordinary times for all of us. Our future right now is somewhat cloudy. We're not sure exactly when we'll come out of this. But one thing I am sure of is that COVID-19 did not bring us all to a screeching halt. Life goes on. And when you talk about the three major issues for BayTran, my answer is yes, yes, and yes. Coastal spine, they parallel what league cities are, and I've reduced ours to 2, and that's drainage and transportation, or transportation and drainage. Either way, they're both high priorities. The commonalities that I think everybody's having, and Carl, when you and I had lunch with Mayor Turner up in Houston, and he asked us how we were doing down here, and we said, well, we're doing as well as you are. As you grow, we grow. And growth is attracting all of us. It doesn't matter whether it's in Fort Bend County, Montgomery County, Galveston County, Brazoria County. We're all feeling a pinch of growth. And as we stare down the gun barrel of that growth, we know that we have to move people throughout the region. It's not just moving people in town anymore, even though that's equally as important to us. And when people say to me, well, what are let me finish. The port sort of is important to all of us and to the economic vitality of the region. So, coastal spine deals with flooding issues. The port deals with the economic issues that are important to the entire region. And of course, transportation is just the needle that threads through every community in the whole Gulf Coast region, state of Texas, and America. Now, with that said, our two big issues are drainage and transportation. And I want to talk today a little bit more about transportation, because that's basically our focus at BayTran. And, I look at really three major projects that are ultra important to League City, as I know they are to everybody in the region. That's Interstate 45. I said when they passed the baton to Galveston County that, I've been watching work on the Gulf Freeway for 65 years. I came here when I was 5 years old. Math's pretty simple on that. But the amount of time it took to come from the Sam Houston Parkway down to NASA Road 1, to me, was astronomical. I had never seen the State Department move as quickly at completing a portion of the project. And when I'm looking from NASA Road 1 down to 517, which takes in most of League City, I'm equally as impressed that they're doing a great job. And I never miss an opportunity to tell Eliza Paul that story, or the commissioners up at on the Highway Commission. The Gulf Coast and Houston region have done a great job. Now, with that progress comes the 146 progress and State Highway 99, which is the Grand Parkway. And first and foremost, to our community, and I think to all of our communities down in the Bay Area, it gives us options to escape ongoing or incoming storms. It has been a portion of our problem over the years that, depending when the storm comes, severity of it, one of the first things that goes out is our transit modes. We don't have clear shots to get out of here. Interstate 45 has been, for the most part, our major way to escape storms on the Gulf Coast. And the truth is, it doesn't matter how many lanes. We're going to 8 lanes. We could go to 12 lanes, as they've been adding every year since I was 5 years old. And I don't think that road can carry the load of the amount of development that's taken place from your two communities all the way to Galveston today, and the south side of Houston. And so it was really wise, whoever came up with the 146, and Carl, I know you were part of it, and as was Seabrook, but that's going to be a great exit route to the east. And of course, the Grand Parkway will be a great exit route to the west. And then we've got I-45 being improved, and that's going to be a better exit route to the north. And so from that point of view, great things are happening for our community. We're proud of it. BayTran's been part of every portion of that. Even before I came along and Carl came along, there was Chuck Jacobson, who was a good friend of mine, and his family is still a good friend of mine. And so, BayTran has a major role in playing. We look to Teresa for a lot of leadership, and you, Carl, in trying to speak out to state interests to keep them focused on what we're doing here. And that is happening. Now, let me tell you, I-45, I suspect in the next year and a half, we're going to be to 517, and we'll be on to another section. The bottlenecks that it's created at all of our arteries who come out to I-45 have been problematic. We have people who tear us apart because they sit in traffic. And I've been telling them now for 4 years, be patient. It's coming. Somebody has been thinking about transportation patterns, and you're going to be the recipient of all those benefits. Now, that works great. 146, every time I'm over in Kemah and Seabrook and going up, I'm amazed at how fast that's actually coming along. We are, and that will be, as all of you know, will be the last section to connect up the Grand Parkway on the east side, southeast side of Houston. And it's already come down and met up with 146. So it's, you know, those things are moving. It's going to be a big impact to Seabrook, but it's going to be a great asset in our toolbox for moving people around the region. The Grand Parkway is a big part of that is coming through League City in Section B. And I always like to tell people, don't forget, we still have Section A in front of us that we're going to have to finish up with to complete the loop. But Section B and C are really important to us because 65% of our working population goes out to the northwest corridor of Harris County. Those stats have been firm for the last several years. And right now they're either going out Highway 6, which is a myriad of lights, as all of you know, or they're going up I-45 and getting caught in that traffic jam. So, you know, the forethought given to those three roads and the importance of those three roads were just super important. And I'm really proud of Eliza Paul. I'm proud of the Highway Commission and BayTran and the other people, the engineering communities who have been part of pushing for this for all these years. And, you know, I get up every morning, I pray I live long enough to see it all come to an end. But, you know, I said that at 5 years old. I said, Mom, when are they going to finish the Gulf Freeway? And she said, never. And we haven't. But that is a testament to Texas. It's a testament to the fact that there is vision in this region and that we're growing and that we have to constantly keep pace with that growth. And if we don't, we will not be an attractive place that people will want to come to live, people will want to come to work. And of course, you know, the unspoken part of the Grand Parkway in 146 are the economic benefits that will come to the cities that are along there. And, you know, I think safety is a big option for all of us, and that's important. But the economic benefits of having open pasture land out there right now, in our case, is just really important. We have a lot of land developers that want to develop that area, and we're kind of holding up and trying to set aside enough lines along that Grand Parkway routeway that we will have property for commercial development. Now, John sent me, everybody worries about what's happening with the Grand Parkway. And let me tell you, we got a letter back from Eliza the other day, who basically told John that you know, the TNR study, traffic and revenue study, is still ongoing. And it will be ongoing probably into next year. That, of course, is going to be a justification for toll roads out there. And I think we all made a case when we went to Austin this year that, you know, so many of our citizens, you know, time is a factor for them, and getting where they need to go quickly is important. And so toll roads, we even put, you know, $5 million in our last bond issue just to throw into the pot to help out for the Grand Parkway, and our people pass that, you know, 65% overwhelmingly. So we were tickled by that. Anyway, those three projects are at the heart of what's going on in League City. Of course, the other side of the fence is we have to, and you know, not to cast bad light on previous people in League City, but we didn't really master plan out our transportation plan. You know, when we go north or south, we run into the creek, and we've got neighborhoods that are in between us and the creek, which makes it hard to get across. So our golden project to start with this year within town, we already have a crossing at Bay Area Boulevard that goes all the way to the freeway. But Landing Boulevard, which will run north and south, and it'll run from 517 all the way down to 528. We are working alongside the city of Webster they're bringing in, having a hard time remembering the name over there, the street that runs north and south over on the Webster side. Anyway, it'll come to me. But anyway, they're coming across and want to tie into where the landing will come. And then they want to veer off over to the outlet for the time being, where people are coming off the bypass onto I-45 so they can make a connection. And I know Webster's in for about $5 million with us. We got our 32 million funded through the tip this last year, and we're looking forward to that going. So, and that will have a bridge, which will give us a third and a fourth crossing all across Lake City, across Clear Creek to get to the other side, which is going to be really good. Now, in addition to that, Grissom Road was a bond issue. As you know, we passed a $150 million bond issue last year, half for drainage, half for roads. Grissom runs east and west parallel to Clear Creek. We are about to start construction on that. Engineering is very close to being done. It'll do a lot of things. It will be 4-lane. It'll go all the way down to the Clear Creek High School Stadium, which will offer an additional out pattern of traffic. And with the Webster section of coming around that stadium and tying into to the I-45 pass crossover where it comes down to grade, will be a great addition for getting people on our west side over. We already have, Highway Department did a magnificent job on the flyover. If you come out of the east side of Lake City, a little bit of a jiggle, but you get over to NASA Road 1, you go 1 block and you're up on the NASA bypass, and you have a straight shot to Houston with no stops, or to I-45 and up north. So those are, you know, some of them are done, some are going.
Mayor?
Yeah.
So we did have a question submitted earlier on the latest of the flooding and drainage study that the city kicked off last year. Is there any update to that?
Well, there is. We passed a milestone about 6 months ago, which was we got everybody in the watershed involved in the project: Brazoria County, Harris County, Galveston County, and all the cities there within who touch within that watershed. John tells me that we're looking at probably a little less than a year before we're out to bid on construction of that. The Corps, of course, is doing a big part of the engineering with that. And we have committed the money and have gotten the money in hand to be able to make that happen. That is a big project for all of us in the Dickinson and Clear Creek watersheds, and Clear Lake, because we all know that, you know, I-45 functioned as a dam. It blocked up into my neighborhood and flooded everybody here. That's been elevated a good 5 feet. And we can see that now that we're over there driving with the access roads and the I-45 section. You know, we're looking at Highway 3 elevations in the future. But, you know, within a year, we should be at construction on the drainage. And you can tell Mike Foreman, he is currently my favorite neighboring mayor because he's been to space twice. And I always find that interesting to talk about. Anyway, I like them all, but he's a good guy.
Well, we have Mayor Foreman watching right now, so I'm sure he's happy to hear that. So
He's a great guy, and you know, I give some kudos to him on drainage. Friendswood and their drainage district up there really was leading the charge in the beginning, trying to deal with. I mean, for 40 years, the Clear Creek project has been on the Corps' list, and that goes back to Mayor Ralph Lowe, who was there in the 60s. And every mayor since then has been an advocate for it. Mike has been an advocate, but Mike, the best part about Mike is that he didn't wait on somebody else to take care of his problems. He started working on it himself, cutting deals with Harris County Flood Control, terracing the creek up in his area so water could move quicker. And he got us doing the same thing in our area. So he's doing a great job in Friendswood. He's a big player in the drainage issues between Dickinson and Clear Creek.
So
that's right.
Mike, can you hear us and say something?
He can hear us. He can't speak to us.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay. We'll be out of here sometime today.
So tell us, Mayor, what do you think the pandemic has done in reference to revenue for Lake City? How much of a sales tax hit have you taken?
We're probably in the long and short of it, we're going to take about a 30% hit on our sales tax. We're eternally optimistic that the second half will cut that back. We know we're going to take a hit. The only question is how much. People are not out. They're not eating out. They're not shopping out. The sales tax drivers have been pretty much closed, even though a lot of them are open today. It has slowed us down, but it has not knocked us out. And I'm probably a little bit different than some of the other cities that rely so much on sales tax. We won't be as critical, I don't believe. We're still optimistic we'll be all right.
What measures are you taking right now to, if you know your expenses need to be cut, and because revenue, are you doing anything to cut expenses right now?
Well, I think everybody would tell you this is going to be a bare bone budget. You know, as you know, both of you know, there is somewhat of a taxpayer revolt taking place, particularly in our region. We've been pretty good at coming in every year at the effective tax rate. And 2 of those years we went under the effective tax rate. We have sent a letter to the governor, you know, asking for some relief. And we passed a resolution from the council asking for some relief to property taxes, you know, just to reverse them back to the 2019 levels. We don't know if that's going to that tree will bear fruit or not, but we're asking nonetheless. But we are, you know, we're continuing to grow, oddly enough, through this period of time. It may have slowed down, but we're optimistic it's going to pick back up. One of our transportation projects that got turned down 2 weeks ago may be on our next agenda because it helped us. The fact that they were willing to pay for the extension of State Highway 96 out to the Friendswood line. Now, you know, it'd be Friendswood's job to figure out how to get it from Friendswood to the Pearland line, but 96 ultimately is slated to go to 288. So, you know, that's an important outlet for all of us. And, you know, I know Mike and Friendswood had a bond issue put to the voters last year, which that was part of it. And I think some parts of it passed, but the 96 extension didn't. But that's all right. By the time we finish our part, they'll be ready to go again. And we'll be over there doing what we can to help them if they need us. And, you know, I always tell people we have 48% of our land area still yet to be developed. and that's the southwest side of our town. It's where the Grand Parkway is coming. I did get a phone call last week after the city council turned down the utility agreement for the mud district out there. And the question got asked to me, what's going on over there? The property owners along out on the southwest side, certainly are looking forward to selling their property at the best possible rate they can get. And of course, a big part of the TNR study has to do with the dedication of that right of way out through those 3 major tracts of land. So, I'm not sure we gave all that as much consideration at the council meeting. It is going to be on the next agenda. We're going to rediscuss it because transportation is just that important to us. And if we can get, I made a misstatement on a Facebook page. I said, it's always better for a developer to pay for that road than it is the taxpayers of League City. And they wrote me back rather curtly. And so I didn't know developers paid for roads. And I said, well, they don't. And really, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The mud district out there, mud districts, a lot of mud districts today have road powers, and they are another point where you can either get them to do the project for you, or you can use your road impact fees to put toward it. But in our case, we got an agreement as of last week that the developer will pay on the front section, which was our biggest concern, to get those 4 lanes in quickly so that we can kind of push on Friendswood to get their part going. But that's a big deal for us. We've got to move people east and west and north and south, and we can't rely on I-45 and 146 and the Grand Parkway to do it all. We have to have arterial roads that get us to those big super highways that are going to be here. And so we're trying to attack it all at the same time.
So, Mayor, I appreciate the words today. I think one thing that we can all take away from this is your optimism and being a cheerleader on the fact that we're going to get through this and hopefully not sit around and feel sorry for ourselves, and get on it and get this fixed. And let's go, and let's not wait until 2021 to turn our economies around, because everyone's afraid right now. And you're right about people just aren't getting out, and it scares me a little bit. I know I think the governor was talking today at 2 o'clock, and so see, you overrode the governor. So I'm hoping that he has said that we're opening up to 50% or something like that. But even then, people are still going to be afraid to get out. So we got to get the word out. Hey, it's going to be okay. Let's come back. And so thank you so much for your words today. And then Mayor Foreman, we're looking forward to your being our next guest, and we'll see if you can outdo League City.
One other comment, if I could ask y'all, because I got a letter this week, and maybe you know about it, Teresa, and maybe you do, Carl, because I didn't know. But it appears that Galveston County and Brazoria County have voted to create a transit district. Are you aware of that?
I've heard of that. I don't know all the details right now, but I had heard something recently to that effect.
Well, we'd all heard rumors. Of course, the more that join the fray of standing up for transportation issues, the better. I don't know any of the details of it. Like I said, I got one of those letters, and I haven't been to the office to go in and talk to John and find out exactly where we are on that. But, we have a lot of people participating. When I stop and think about the number of people that go to BayTran meetings, and if we ever got on the same page, which you are attempting to get us on, and we all loved your idea of going to Austin as a group on a quarterly basis. You know, we had Alvin New, one of the highway commissioners, down here last month, and we met with him. And, you know, they remembered us from being up there when we went up on the Grand Parkway. But the one thing they said, and Teresa, you mentioned this to me when you were telling me what your plans were for BayTran. They said to us, don't be strangers. You know, transportation is important. You know, that port, being able to move commerce in and out of that port is equally as important as moving people, even though we're a little more focused on the people side. We'd like to probably all be more focused on the commercial side, but both are equally as important to the vitality of this region. Good things are happening. Carl sponsored a lunch with the city of Houston. That's probably the most any of us have talked to anybody up there. And I don't know where you were, Teresa. I chastised him for not putting you on that list. Or maybe you were busy, I don't know. But it was a good hour and a half of uninterrupted discussion about what's going on in the region and how it relates to really to the big gorilla up the street, and that's Houston, as your friend at the tag calls them.
Look, Teresa, you want to close us down?
Sure. Well, Mayor, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your support of BayTran. And once we return to normalcy, if we get there, we're looking forward to those trips to Austin, not just when we're making an ask, but just so that we can keep those ties up. So thank you. We're so grateful that you have been a great cheerleader for us. And we look forward to coming back next week with Mayor Foreman. So if you have any messages to send to him, just email me.
He just sent me a note that he was out of town. That's why he couldn't be at the last one.
Yeah, but he said that we just wanted Sally, which could be the truth.
Sally, that's right. She's a good person too.
Hey, thank you everyone. And Mayor Foreman, we look forward to you next week. And again, Pat Hallisey, thank you so much. And hopefully Janice is cleaned up for working out in the yard, and tell her hi for all of us. And we are adjourned for today. Thank you all so much.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
Great afternoon. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of people. I like that. I was just looking at the list of who all was here.
Quite a few today.
Yeah, it was. Well, that's good. I guess everybody's back at work today. You know, that's the only thing I can think of. I guess, Carl,
No.
Are we done?
We're done. We adore you. Thank you so much, Mayor.
You're the best.
You take care.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.